not funny. Yeah. TED Talk. Yeah? TED Talk. Huh? Oh, yeah. Ooh, TED Talk. Oh, yeah. Oh, TED Talk. Yeah, yeah, Matt. Humble. Oh, no problem, huh? Huh? TED Talk. Hello. I'd like that everywhere I go, every time I say hello. I'm Holly Stoppit, and I'm going to talk about how clowning can lead you into connection. Oh, yeah. Well, it started a long time ago. I was born in the snow, the fifth of 6 children. My parents met whilst working on an adventure playground. As play workers, their job was basically giving hammers and rusty nails to teenage delinquents. They then go off and build rickety structures to climb up and invariably fall off. This was the 1970s, the days before health and safety. My parents were passionate about risk and play. They made it their mission to channel raw teenage energy into creativity and empowerment. At some point, my mum taught my dad to juggle. And when I was 6, they worked out the best way to bring more risky play to more young people all over the UK was to start up a circus. That's me, like that. That one. Oh. We bought a red, green and yellow canvas tent and a fleet of rusty trucks, and off we went, touring the length and breadth of the country, doing circus theatre shows and teaching unicycling and juggling and trapeze and acrobatics to young people who wouldn't ordinarily get access to arts and play. That's me and my siblings. And our dad. And my mum made all the costumes, and she took the picture. I'm the one with the yellow and black stripy tights on my head. Yeah, strong look. Yeah, even then, I was ahead of my time. I was what could be described as a rather peculiar child. Yes, there's the laughter from the people who knew me as a child. I was like a tiny little volcano, full of wild, bubbling emotions. The only place I made any sense was when I was clowning. Clowning allowed me to be my craziest self, and people would laugh. Ah, sweet validation. Yeah, more. Yeah. Oh. We spent our winters in Cardiff, where I went to a big normal school. Now, as you can imagine, my strangeness made me very visible to bullies. But I had superpowers, right? I used my clowning skills to deflect their taunts by turning everything into a game. Even when pinned up against the wall and forced to eat bars of soap, I'd say, that's delicious. Have you got any more? Turns out bullies don't really appreciate the fine art of clowning. I ate a lot of soap. But my commitment to playfulness and trying to find the humour in every situation brought to me my tribe of freaks and weirdos, a lot of whom are here tonight. And also gave me my name, Holly Stoppit. Holly Stoppit. Holly Stoppit! In my early 20s, I decided to make clowning my life and embarked upon a clown pilgrimage, travelling the globe to learn every type of clowning from every type of teacher and performing wherever I could. The thing I love most about clowning is this direct connection with audiences. So I do something funny, or relatively funny. You laugh, I react to that, you laugh again. Simple. But it has a lot of risk built into it. So as a clown, everything I offer to you is a risk that you might reject at any moment. Rather than try to get things right, clowns learn to teeter on the verge of the flop with joy. To keep their hearts lifted and risk failure in pursuit of laughter and connection. Wow. By my late 20s, my brother and I had made our own street theatre company. We'd been dabbling around in our Jewish heritage, and we made a show where I played Nana. So I was a big Jewish grandmother, and I was trying to get my 3 revolting grandsons married off to members of the public. But of course, nobody was good enough for Nana's boys. So I sabotaged their every effort with a big, dramatic death scene. I am going to die. I am going to die. Today or tomorrow, life's what you borrow. I am going to die. Working on the street taught me how to use rhythm to keep audiences engaged, because on the street, audiences make their feedback very clear. If they're not enjoying what you're doing, they leave. So if I started to feel a bit of a drift, I would change my tempo. I'd speed right up and become really dynamic and exciting. Wow. Or I'd slow right down and become kind of enigmatic. Wow. You could try this at your next meeting if you like. If you want to reboot your connection, change your tempo. Huh? Oh, yes. When I wasn't being Nana, I was touring indoor theatres and village halls with a sweet little, non-verbal, red-nosed musical clown show. We were 4 idiotic musicians who failed persistently to find the wedding that we were supposed to be playing at. Clowns get easily distracted. What I learned from coming indoors, it was very, very bizarre, because theatre audiences are so well behaved. You sit in the dark and you wait patiently until the end. And you're going to clap. Like, it doesn't really matter what I do up here, you're going to clap, aren't you? I was used to a more authentic response. But it took a while to realise, in the quiet focus of the theatre, I could sometimes just stop. In clowning, this is called a drop. You're learning a lot today. And what it does, it gives me a little moment to connect back with myself and my authenticity, which helps me to connect deeper with you. If you want to reboot your connection, just stop, breathe, feel, and start again. Up until this point, I'd been working with the rule of 27. But what is the rule of 27? So ordinarily, clowns work with the rule of 3. So they do something funny. Ta-da! Oh, that wasn't very funny, but it'll do. It'll do, it'll do. They repeat it. Ta-da! Yeah, it gets funnier, doesn't it? And then the third time, they do a slight variation. Ta-da, 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 ta-da. Hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, see, it's a very simple science. The brain loves to see patterns established and then corrupted. It sets off little explosions in the mind that come out the front of the face here as laughter. Hilarious. Okay, so I knew all of this. You know, I'm a fully trained clown. I've done a lot of clown training, so I knew about the rule of three, but I chose to ignore that and just keep going till I got to 27. Yeah, I found out that if you just keep going with an idea for long enough, you come through the tumbleweeds and out the other side as a comic genius. If you want to reboot your connection, just keep going. Just keep going. By the time I was 30, I was completely and utterly exhausted. Surfing the ups and downs of touring life was having detrimental effects on my mental health. I was lurching between periods of intense touring and slumps of severe full-body depression. My job was spreading joy and laughter and connection, but I was sad and lonely and isolated. Touring made sustaining relationships impossible. My diet and my sleep were erratic, and the after-show adrenaline crashes would take me all the way to the edge, and sometimes beyond. I have so many memories of lying on cold, hard dressing room floors, shaking and sobbing with shame and self-hatred. No matter how much laughter or applause I received, I was never good enough for my inner critic. I started seeing a therapist and learning how to meditate. Mostly I was sitting on a cushion thinking about what I'd like to have for dinner, but, you know, you got to start somewhere, haven't you? But what therapy and meditation gave me was a taste of a totally unknown life. One which I could have this thing they call stability. I liked it. But I knew if I wanted more of that, I'd need to stop performing. So I hung up my red nose and embarked upon a 3-year master's degree in drama therapy! Because why not? But what is drama therapy? Well, funny you should ask. Drama therapy uses all the things actors do in the rehearsal room out there, but with the intent of helping people to recover and uncover hidden and forgotten parts of themselves. I'd sort of been doing my own version of drama therapy on myself all these years by channeling my pent-up emotions through my clown. But I wanted to learn to do it safely, and I wanted to learn to do it sustainably, and I wanted to be able to give it to others. Drama therapy seems like a pretty serious endeavour. Most of my tutors exuded a deep, sincere quality. We spent a lot of our time wafting around bits of fabric to explore and express how we feel. Not a lot of laughs in drama therapy. Yeah. So I tried to keep my clown out of my clinical work. My first placement was at an elders' daycare centre. It was a cold, crisp autumnal morning, a lot like today. And I was dressed from head to toe in wool. And as I stood on the doorstep preparing my newly learnt therapist head tilt, the door opened, and I was blasted with the heat of 1,000 furnaces. As I walked into the daycare centre, I started stripping off my layers. One of the elders spotted me and started singing da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da. They were laughing and clapping and singing along. They didn't need the serious storytelling session that I planned. What they needed was what everybody needs: laughter, risk, and play. So from that moment, I clowned with all my clients. And over those 3 years, thanks to countless hours of sobbing on the therapist's couch, fidgeting on the meditation cushion, and wafting bits of fabric around, I slowly began to transform. I started trying out other modes of connection besides the tried and tested, I do something funny and you laugh. I learned to rest. I learned to be still. I learned to be vulnerable. And I learned to let love in. Through therapy, I realised that through my entire performance career, every time I stepped onto the stage and looked out at an audience, I'd seen a mob of angry critics with hate in their eyes staring at me. I'd been projecting my own fierce inner critic onto the faces of thousands, and it had made the stage a really dangerous place to be. Throughout my performance career, I had been in a constant state of fight, flight, freeze. Meditation taught me how to keep the ground beneath my feet and my breath flowing into my belly. You can join me if you like, it's nice. Take a deep breath all the way to the bottom of your belly. Feel the seat underneath you. When I do this, I feel grounded, and that helps me to see you, not as a bunch of angry critics, but as a collection of individuals, as vulnerable and as courageous as me. If you want to reboot your connection, ground yourself. The choices you make from this place are much more likely to lead you into connection. When it came to my dissertation research, it was obvious what I needed to do. I wanted to bring all of my experiences together and give them to other people with mental health issues. So I set up a group for adults with depression, anxiety, and bipolar. And through a series of experiments and discussions, we found ways to bring clowning and meditation and therapy together. Put all that in a pot, along with their laughter and tears, revelations, snotty tissues, biscuit crumbs, dregs of tea, and a whole heap of reading. And I stirred it all up and came out with clownotherapy. Do you know what? On my graduation day, they wouldn't let me do my official pictures with the red nose on, so my mum took that. These days, people come from all over the UK to Bristol to come to my group workshops. They're using their clowning skills on stage and in real life. Oh, that's a batch from this summer. Just before we went out into Bristol to make some friends. They're using their clowning skills to deepen their relationships with their kids, with their parents, with their partners, with their friends, with their colleagues, with their clients, with their customers, with their constituents, and with their congregations. Yeah, clowns are literally everywhere. Huh? And what about little old me? Huh? What about little old me? Well, I've reached the ripe old age of 40. Thank you very much. And I'm happier than I've ever been. Sure, I still get the occasional wobble, but I'm able to steady myself quicker than ever. And after a 7-year break, I came back to performing. In fact, I'm doing a TED Talk right now. I'm carrying on the family tradition of spreading play and risk, but the risk I'm most interested in is the risk to be vulnerable. It takes immense amounts of courage to withstand your vulnerability and allow yourself to be fully seen in all your weirdness and all your wildness. But when you do, your tribe magically appears. You all have a clown inside of you. You do. That relentless, playful, unstoppable being has been jumping up and down inside since you first got told to grow up. Make time to listen to their playful impulses. And sometimes, if you feel brave enough, why not take the risk? Make faces at children on buses. Serenade your supermarket cashier. Yeah. Dance to train announcements. Switch to gibberish in the middle of domestic arguments. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You can always just stop and breathe and start again. Or keep going till you get to 27. Everything eventually gets a laugh. Tap into your inner clown and watch the walls of separation dissolve.